Oh, starting with the smile. I love that big grin.
I have a big grin on my face as I got a big glass of bourbon in my hand.
Well,
Yes.
in case you're all wondering, this is Riffs after hours. So this is what happens when Toby gets some free time in the evening. He can pour himself some bourbon. I actually did not go with bourbon today. I went with a nice little glass of red wine.
There we go.
Just
There we
because
go. That's the Joe I know.
working through a little bit. Yeah, yeah. I don't
That's the Joe I know.
What does that
There we
mean,
go.
Toby? I like bourbon too. It's just,
I know.
you got to mix it up. So yeah, it seemed a bit much for little coldy nonsense I got going on.
It's all
Although the
good.
bourbon would probably clean it out pretty good.
Bourbon has its properties.
All right. So what is let's give the listeners a little bit of background here. So what our listeners, Riff Nation, has been clamoring for years now for us to do a behind the scenes kind of off the cuff. Let's just have Joe and Toby talk about life and all things interesting.
Sure.
And so we are ones to definitely give the people what they are asking for. Far be it from us
Far be it.
to deny
Far be it.
the
Yeah.
masses.
So this is a Riffs happy hour. And so we are going to be just going through topics. Doesn't necessarily have to do anything with music. It might not, but anything and everything. So,
Anything goes. And
Yeah.
to be honest, it's completely self-serving. So we hope it's entertaining. We hope you enjoy it and have a good time along with us. Pour yourself a beverage of any kind, and water counts. And
That's right.
Yeah, let's go. All right, what's the first thing we want to riff on?
The first thing we're going to riff on is songs that get you hype. Now, I'm going to say that I'm going to need this. I'm going to need to know what your workout playlist looks like because I think it's important. Number one, I want to see what kind of gets you hype. What's my dude Mojo? What does he like to listen to when he's on the bench about ready to push weight? What does he like listening to?
Well, I think this is going to disappoint and surprise you in multiple ways, Toby.
All right.
First of all, I haven't benched in years because I have
Really?
a disc, and yeah, bench is not
that'll
real
do
good for that kind of thing. I will do incline. In fact, we had anytime I think about inclines back in the day in college, we Brett and Jack, we would go up to the gym together and we'd work out. And there was these two dudes. I think it was two. It might have been three. I think it was only two. We called them the incline boys because every time we went into the gym, those cats were on the incline bench. Like that was their entire workout. And I was always like, what exactly are you getting out of this? It was fascinating. So I channel my inner incline boys from time to time. So, but this is going to maybe surprise you. I don't listen to music when I work out, actually.
Really?
I do not. When I'm running, when I'm working out, all of those things, I do not have music. I always have a podcast, or it's when there's a new episode of Critical Role out, then that is my jam. I've literally listened to hundreds of hours of Critical Role because it's that immersive storytelling and all of that it's a distraction. I can answer your question about songs that get me hyped. But it would not necessarily be at the gym. Now, I know it's not true for you because you have sent me your workout playlist, and there's some bangers on there. So walk the audience through that.
I like a lot of like hip hop from like the golden era, so a little Chino XL, a little Redman, Smith and Wesson, Mos Def. Some roots in there. I mean, just it's a mix. There might be Fonte or Little Brother in there as well. So I mean, it's a mix of stuff. Really just kind of depends. And it's a pretty long playlist. It's a fairly long.
It
playlist.
is a long playlist. It's like several hours, I think.
Oh yeah, dude. I just skip to like what gets me going. If I want to hear apathy, it's like, dude, come on, bring it. So the reason why I bring it up. It's interesting. We're talking about working out, and as you know, much like playlists, right? We continually have to change or update playlists because it can get old, right? It can get old and get a little stale, and it doesn't kind of evoke the same type of emotion. I see that workouts do the same. I know that for me, what I've done recently, I had a friend of mine suggest that I do type and ask ChatGPT for a workout.
Sure.
And I've done chest, back, and
legs, leg day. You're not skipping leg day.
No, I skip leg day for sure. My knee ain't crap right now. But and arms, man, fantastic 45-minute workouts.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's just so good, so good. So yeah, I needed my playlist to get through it. When I'm listening to podcasts, I'm a little bit more pedestrian with my workouts. That's me. I'm a little bit more pedestrian with it. I'm not putting everything in it, but if I hear a song by Rihanna, I'm thinking she's singing to me. I got to show my best.
Yeah, right. You got to show up.
I've got to show my best.
Yeah, no, I think working out for me has always been what's the word people? I mean, it's a release. That's not the word I'm looking for. It is a mental health. It is escape. That's why I get annoyed this time of year, because everybody's made the resolution. They're showing up to the gym, and I'm like, get out of the way. Like, this is like the people who show up for church on Christmas and Easter. Like, you don't get to get you. Come on, what are you doing? I'm kidding. I'm glad that people at least, and I hope it sticks. But there's some truth. Like, it is an escape. It is my way to just disconnect. That's why I like having things that are feeding my brain in my ears, because the workouts are always like, I enjoy working out. I enjoy all facets of that. I know for a lot of people, they're like, man, I do it because I have to. For me, it's like I need to do it to just stay sane. So yeah, the music is kind of, if I was listening to music, I would probably be thinking too much about the workout. Whereas if my brain is occupied otherwise, like I'm certainly focused on my rep, when I'm doing reps and stuff, but like it's a necessary distraction. I will say for hoops, like when I was playing hoops a lot back in the day, pregame, that pregame pump up playlist is a little bit different.
Sure.
So that would harken back to my probably speed metal days. The original four minus Slayer. I'm not a big Slayer fan because I don't have a lot of sympathy for the devil. But yeah, Anthrax, Megadeth, Metallica, and Testament, like all of those bands that were. It helps being a guitar player too, is you have an appreciation for some of the abilities of some of those cats. And
yeah, it's a lot of skill in that. If you've ever picked up a guitar and taken anything close to a lesson, you will know. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say definitely picking up a guitar is one thing, but taking a lesson to be able to hit specific notes over and over and on time and
on tempo, Jack.
Dude. Yeah, you have to give those players a lot of props. Now, I've never, of all those bands that you just mentioned, I've never heard of the band called Testament.
Testament. I'll say two things. Chuck Billy, one of the greatest voices in metal, period. Like, just fantastic. And Alex,
with a name like Chuck Billy, he better be.
He better, right? And Alex Skolnick, who is amazing, just all around guitarist. He's played a ton of metal. He's playing a ton of jazz. Like, he's just one of those cats who's like, what do you want me to play? I can do it all and do it really, really well. So I always appreciate people at the top of their game.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So we talked about workout playlists. I'm very curious now. You talk about like these playlists that allow you to not think about, they feed your brain. And of course, I know the kind of work that you do in consulting. I'm sure that those playlists, sometimes the lessons that are learned, some of the knowledge that is displayed finds its way into your work, much like it does with mine. Yeah. So I know you take notes. I'm really curious about your note taking. And the reason why is because I recently purchased said tablet.
What is that? That looks fancy.
Yeah, this is the Viwood tablet. Yep, so Viwood tablet. I have been researching tablets now for the last like 3 weeks. I've been obsessed because I love not having to use paper. I do like writing on paper. I've got journals everywhere, but I'm tired of
Do you keep your journals?
Yeah.
Like for years?
Yeah. Yes. It's
ridiculous. I was just talking to somebody who has like 30 years of journals, like all
ridiculous.
lined up on a like. Huh, do you ever go back and read them?
My work ones, no.
Okay,
I mean, absolutely not. My music ones, or like if I'm writing a story or something like that, yeah, I keep those. I keep all of that. That's good. But eventually I'm going to take what I've written down and type it up. And once it's typed up and put into, some kind of cloud system, then I don't really need it anymore. But I've been looking for something, and this is.
You used to use that like dot thing, right? Wasn't there one where you're like?
Yes, that thing was terrible. I hated it.
Okay,
Absolutely
whatever that brand is, let's not name the brand.
Yes, we'll not name the brand. That was, I mean, it was good in theory, but
it was also years ago, so I think
they still sell it, Joe.
Do they really?
Same. They still sell it.
All right.
Yeah,
well.
I didn't like it. I didn't love it at first, but I thought it was like, it's a pretty cool idea. But no, we're done. We're done.
So what is this? The Viwood?
Viwood.
Okay. And what's the shtick beyond this one?
Well, I like it because I have a Kindle, and I also have an iPad. Now the one thing, I bought the iPad first, and I've had the iPad for years now, and I've taken notes on that and whatnot. The problem with that is that to me it's just a little too heavy.
Sure.
I thought it was just too heavy. I want something I could carry in my hand and be fine. So that was the reason for that. Now the Kindle, I absolutely love. I love the Kindle, but I didn't get the Kindle Scribe. I have the Kindle just to read.
Okay.
Now, and the thing I like about that is it's simply just for that. I can't. That was the other problem with the
You can't
iPad.
get distracted.
You can't get distracted. Right. So Kindle's perfect for that. And I just needed something. The technology's picked up. The devices are lighter now.
Yeah.
And they've got so many people that are just like me trying.
There's nobody like you, Toby.
All right, this is true. There are so many people that are interested in this topic. I mean, I've literally spent 6 hours looking at videos.
That sounds like a lot of Reddit threads right there. Just
oh my God, yeah. It's a lot of YouTube, a lot of unboxing, and I mean, it got crazy down to the pen that we're using and the nibs on the pen. And,
can you give us a little demo of this thing? I'm super curious.
Yeah.
So can you use normal pens? No, right?
No, you can't. They give you a special stylus for it. The one thing about, now you mentioned the note taking app that you use.
Yeah.
I forget the one that, I might have actually been using the same one. You said Nemo? Is that right?
No, I did not find Nemo, but I did find Nebo, which is Nebo. I just kept swimming until I found the one it's I would say it's about 85% there for me.
Well, so I'm not sure which one I was using.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that one sounds familiar. Right?
Okay.
Nemo,
yeah, whatever.
So whatever.
Toby, I don't know.
But with the program I was using on the iPad, it was like, you write a note and you could, scroll everywhere. And what you saw wasn't the entire document per se.
Okay.
And that posed a problem for me because it could, I might have to go like this and find the document. With this here, I can swipe left, and that's just another page.
Wait, did you just swipe left on me, Tobe?
No, I
don't know what that means. Did you reject me, or
look? I don't know what exactly. You know what? I just closed the app, Joe. I'm just going to say that. I don't know what. There's no swiping involved. Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, okay, we're gonna
no
go back. Swiping.
We're going to go back to swiper, no swiping. That's what we're going to do. You can tell I had a child and watched TV with him while he was growing up.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He didn't do that alone. I enjoyed myself some Dora. Yeah, so you can literally swipe the page and go to the next page and keep on writing. To me, that's
really
similar to an actual notebook. Yeah. Yeah. I just go like this.
Yeah. It didn't swipe. It's not
swiping.
Didn't. Oh, there
it goes. Yep. And then go back.
Okay. Whoa. It's like a little bit of voodoo right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
what's the
little
feel
thing.
like? Does it feel like paper? Because that's a big thing for me.
Yeah. The feel's not bad, man. The feel is not. It's not bad. it's I mean, obviously there's nothing quite like paper. There's really nothing like paper. But, one thing again about the iPad I didn't like is if my hand was on the screen, sometimes while I'm writing with the stylus, it caused a problem. Like I didn't know which pressure point to read, and that was a problem. But again, look, the iPad is fantastic. I am not trying to badmouth that device at all. I enjoy it.
We love you, Apple.
Yeah, we love you, Apple. But it just, for what I just needed something a little bit different. And yeah.
So I also went on a similar journey. It's been a few years, but because I am old school, like I love me a really nice fountain pen that, right? And then I had to
nothing like it.
I had to buy the bougie, like there's a golden version of the legal pads that's got the nice textured paper, so it's smooth enough where that's my ideal way of writing. But like I take a lot of coaching notes or whatever, meeting notes, and I need to find them. I need to store them, and I can't just it's a complete waste of time to write it all out and then type it all out. So I did switch to that Nebo app on the iPad. I got I think it's Paper-like, which is okay. Like they say it feels like paper as far as a screen protector, but it doesn't. But it's better than that like hard glass. But what I love about it is that the handwriting recognition is pretty good. And so it just converts it automatically. So I can have, and actually I use this for our Riff stuff too, because it has the ability to just create a document where you can just keep writing and scrolling. And then you can create a board where it's literally kind of a free form. And that's what I do for our show, because I can be a little bit more like, oh, here's an interesting tidbit, and then just kind of visually represent stuff. So yeah, I don't think we're ever going to replace the old pen and paper, but we do what we can.
We do what we can. And there's nothing like reading. I know you're a big reader. I'm a decent.
You're a big reader.
I love books. I really do. But I listen to a lot of books like through Audible and things like that,
same.
because I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like actually reading the words on paper. Like the understanding of the material, the comprehension. It's different.
Can I make a confession, Toby?
Hit me. Nobody's
listening to this, right?
Hopefully that's false, but go ahead. Continue.
Right. I am struggling to read right now simply because I'm old, and I don't like wearing cheaters. I just hate it, and I'm realizing that you need light, like a lot more light now. So I need a lot more light, and I need some sort of gigantic magnifying glasses on my eyeballs just to read the words on a page. And so literally there are times where I'm like, oh, that's too much work to like turn on a light and find a pair of readers.
Sir, get yourself a Kindle, and that
I
has
do need
a
to get a
backlight.
Kindle. Actually, I have a Kindle on my iPad. So
increase the size of the words on there and put the backlight on. What are we talking about?
But I have so many books that I haven't read yet that are actual physical books that I want to read.
And they can remain where they're at, Joe. They can remain where they're at. That's is totally fine. It's totally. Look, the way I look at it, as long as you get the information, who cares? Who cares?
That's true.
As long as you get the information. There are so many books that I have bought the physical form, and then I've actually bought the Kindle form
version, and then the audiobook, and
just because I just want it there. And I know I'm not the only one that does that. In fact, they have deals for that. Like for Audible, if you buy the Audible and the Kindle version, there is a deal that you can save.
I love
a
deal.
Money.
I love a good deal.
Yeah. I just do that way.
I've been debating getting one of those. When you go to the hotel and you've got that little light that hangs over your bed.
Dude, stop it. I love it.
I want to get one of those.
I love that. Yeah, you do.
You do. That'll be my next Reddit rabbit hole. Which is the best $7 bed?
$7? Shoot, you gotta tell me where you're shopping. That's fantastic.
It's literally some duct tape and a flashlight. So
That's awesome. Well, you know what? One reason why paper and writing is so important to us is also because it's an outlet for us as far as creativity is concerned. Yeah. Now,
and by the way, a sidebar, there's actually a lot of science that supports writing by hand is a much stronger brain connection to just in general than typing. And actually, maybe this is why I love whiteboards so much, but standing up and writing vertically is an even stronger, like that way is allows memory retention of whatever. And so it's a really and I think it's just because of the physical,
Sure.
And I find too, I don't know, because you write a lot. If I'm handwriting it, there's almost a pacing and brain processing that feels like a stronger connection to my art than if I'm typing, because then you're worried about like, oh, do I need to backspace that and correct it and whatever. It's just a different kind of connection. Although I'm very curious if that's different for our kids.
I think it is.
My daughter has written whole novels, literally hundreds of thousands of on a phone. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? But like, it's done the same?
Different. It's different. It's different for them. My son's the same way. His handwriting is atrocious. But that's generally because he
doesn't write.
He's not forced to write right now. He types everything, all his reports. So I mean, it is what it is. It's fine. But he's a good writer. He's a really, really good writer. But I watch his brain process. He's just learned to do it all
that way.
All that way. He's not like, so it's just a habit. It's just a habit, and they're able to flex that muscle. But to write all that on a phone is nuts, though. That's crazy. That's different. That's different. But you know what, though? Whatever gets you in your feels to your creative feels. I'm totally about that. I can't poo-poo on anything. If you like writing in bars, if you have to write, in a coffee shop, if you have to write outside, like whatever it is. Because Brandon doesn't write at all. He does not.
Stores it all up there.
Stores it all up in the head.
I just want to it'd be like fascinating to walk through that brain of that guy. Like, oh my God, how'd that get there? Like, what's stored up there if he's keeping it all up there?
Just driving. Dude will just be driving. And I've been talking to him lately because I'm like, look, we're getting older. I know your memory cannot be as good as it was 20 years ago. If you discover a good rhyme, even if you don't think you're going to remember or forget it, put it in your phone. Yeah, record it, dude.
Yeah.
Stop playing around. Like, you have this technology, just use it. But
do you do this at night? First of all, I know we shouldn't keep our phones next to us, but the amount of things that I feel like I've lost in the middle of the night because I'm like, oh, I'll remember that in the morning. And then you wake up and you're like, what was that thing? That was really good. And you have no idea. Yeah. And so what I've attempted to try and do sometimes is inspiration strikes at 3 a.m., just pull it out and mutter some nonsense into my phone. Sure. So do you do that?
I've done that. I do that with melodies or harmonies. I'll do that all day. But as of late, when I was younger, when those ideas hit me, I always used to think like, if I don't remember this, it's gonna be it. I'm gonna miss out on the best thing ever, right? Now it used to be like stressful, like if I lose this thing, like this, And I don't think like that anymore. Like, it is what it is. If I remember it, great. If I don't, great. I got more. There'll be another one. Yeah, I got more. It'll come to me. It's
that's a healthy attitude.
Just
good.
I don't want to. And that's more of a recent thing because I've always. I'm from the backpacker hip hop, time. So I always had notebooks with me, like multiple notebooks with me. So that, hey, maybe this rhyme doesn't fit, but a rhyme I wrote 2 months ago does, and that was a whole nother notebook. Hold on, let me pull that out. And I got that. Oh yeah.
So you've used this term backpacker a lot. Not a lot, but you've talked about it on the show and whatever. And I feel like I have a vague idea of what that is just from the term and what you just said. But like, if you were to do a full description of what is that era of hip hop, what would it encompass?
Well, it's just, I owe a lot of all my thoughts toward hip hop really have to do with the cats I hung around that were doing hip hop, and they all were older and, just had a more extensive hip hop knowledge than I did. So I knew I liked it, but I really didn't know the history. So, but a lot of us kids were latchkey kids, right? So latchkey kids were, we're the kids that we would come home and no parents were home, and we were responsible for younger siblings, responsible for getting our homework done, all the little chores, maybe dinner, whatever. And then we also, so back then you didn't have books on Kindles and things like that.
What?
You carried all your books.
How did we survive, Toby?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Our backs. That's why we have sciatic problems now.
No, that's true.
Anyway, so yeah, man. So, but when college hit, and it was similar, except for, it's college books, college textbooks in my bag. They cost a whole lot more.
Those are bigger. Those are bigger and better.
I'm probably not gonna take a grocery bag from Kroger's and wrap this book up as I own this thing.
Yeah.
But we still would, at least I would, all of us backpackers would always have backpacks around, and you could just see like a backpacker, this kid with oversized clothes, hat on, backpack, just ready to spit a rhyme, and it just became a style. Like, that's it. And then
But was this related to any, back in the day we had different coasts and different places.
It's an East Coast thing.
It's an East Coast thing. So it's not happening in California.
I'm not saying it wasn't happening in California, because they certainly have backpacks out there. What I'm saying is that it probably started East Coast as far as it being a hip hop thing, and then I would say the West probably looked at it and was like, okay, well, we can or can't. There's certain groups of, like, you look at hieroglyphics, right? They probably were the closest thing to backpackers on the West Coast.
Okay.
They didn't rhyme like anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? They just didn't. It's just, Far Side, Hyro, those groups. They didn't rhyme like anybody over there. But those were West Coast groups. East Coast, that's come on.
Yeah.
That's New York. Stop it. Philly, come on.
Well, also on the East Coast, there's a lot more opportunity to have really crappy weather, and you just need to throw that backpack over your head so that you don't get dumped on. So
then
California, you got a lot of sun. You don't have to worry about that.
My God, so much sun, so much sun, so much. Good stuff. I
think you were getting into creative block, right? So what happens, because we do lots of creative things, like all over the place.
Some would say too much.
I think anybody who knows us would be like, what? Stop.
Some would say.
Stop it. Get that off your list. When do you find that, well, maybe the better question is, are there certain triggers that will stump you creatively? Do you find that there's certain things going on in life or certain practices you get away from that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not feeling creative? Or is it just kind of random? And do you have, I'm going to ask you one more question and just fire you. Do you have an intentional creative practice that you do on a regular? Like, get up every morning, journal or something so that you're practicing?
All right. I will. The thing that stumps me is the same thing that will actually inspire me. All right. So if it's all about perspective.
So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, it's to a certain extent. So, and with me, it's exposure to something new. Like if I hear something bad, it might piss me off to the point where I'm like, that's absolutely, I know I can do better than that. Like, let's get in the studio. If I hear something good, it could be like, oh my God, that is so good. I could never do that. There's no point in me going into the studio. Right. So, and then they could both work reverse, right? If I hear something bad, it's like, man, I'm not inspired. If I hear something good, it'd be like, man, I am inspired. So it just really depends. I would say that historically with me, the thing that will probably get me off my game more than anything else would be like money issues or work issues. Money, work issues, or like relationship issues in general. Like those are the things that like stress me out the most. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, like car trouble, there's nothing that can stunt. Back in the day, car trouble, like holy night.
It's like your livelihood is
like, how much is it? Like it's what? How many zeros on that? Like I can't. No.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
You saying I could use my bike tires for it? I can't use my bike? No? No, I can't? Okay.
Will this blow up if I keep driving?
Dude. And then what was your last question was something
like
creative that I do.
Your practice. Like, do you have a practice, I guess?
Yeah. So the dojo that we grew up in, as far as, hip hop is concerned, we call it, it's a way of life. The way I was raised into it is called mentally unrested, right? So it's always thinking about the next rhyme. So we had this thing where we would just walk up to any of your boys could walk up to, like, a real rhymer could rhyme at any time, so go. And so you should be able to spit a rhyme at any time. It's not coffee, but we're always on the grind. You like lemon and I like lime. We're different, but it don't matter because I'm so inclined. Kind of like the bench press he was just talking about. When it comes to Gwen Stefani, there's no doubt I'm in it, I'm out it, that, whatever. So
yeah, love it.
So with that, now I don't have my boys around me, but I challenge myself when I'm around anything. It's like freestyle right now, go. So pumping gas at the grocery store, parking my car, whatever. I'll just start freestyling. So I can try to stay sharp. And every once in a while I come across something like, woo, that was good. That's good. Write that down. That was good.
And do you write it down?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Speak it.
So freestyling in general, some of it, like you just did, is completely off the cuff based on recent things that were said and keeping it current for, whatever. How much of it is just a running bank of things that you have ready to go at any time? Or has that become forced and, I guess, inauthentic, or it doesn't work?
I think, well, look, I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for me. So I would say that I think there's always going to be, if you listen to somebody freestyle enough, you probably will notice what we call crutches, right? So this is something that, when I'm on the mic, they always use that when I'm on the mic. That's a crutch. They don't have anything else to say. That's that, but there are a small percentage of, like, freestylers, and I've seen some fantastic cats. I mean, my boy Logic, my other dude Fathom. There's a cat that battled Eminem back in the day. His name was Juice. Like, ridiculous type skill. Common is good. I mean, you catch any of these cats out, they're going to really, finding their crutches is going to be a little bit harder. But of course, those kind of cats, you don't listen to them every day. And somebody that lived with them might know, like, what their crutches are. So,
well, and I think it's fascinating that you use the word crutch, right? Because as a guitarist, every guitar player has their licks that they play. And it's, I'm thinking Stevie Ray and Santana off the top of my head. Both incredible players, incredible improvisers, but they're going to have similar. It's not a crutch; it's their style. There are certain phrases and licks that they play that they just sort of weave in, and it's just a stylistic element. So I don't even look at that as a crutch. To me, seems like a bad thing, whereas I just think it's a necessary thing. Like, it's part of who you are. So it's just, I don't know, it's just interesting that
it's different playing musically than, I would say, using words, right? If you use words, using words, granted, crutches, it's similar. Yeah. But you've listened to a bunch of speakers, right? Motivational speakers, and seen presentations, and you can see sometimes if they're pontificating and the crutches that they would use or whatever. It's like, dude, if I hear
that one more time.
One more time. Back in my day, we used to, or hey, theoretically, we are saying, or what? It gets old. So you have to be careful. I think it's a little different with music because you have different keys. So it could be the same riff, just in a different key. You have different tempos. In different tempo, that key, it's going to sound a little bit different. With emceeing, you have to, you just got to be aware, and I think that's the big thing. It's just being aware of what's what, so that you can deliver what you got to deliver and make your point. Because the worst thing in the world is, a crutch is there. we use crutches to walk, right, to get from point A to point B. I do not want you to be the listener. Don't want the listener to be too distracted by how I'm walking that they forget about the content of what I'm saying. If anything, and I think a guitar player would feel the same way. It's like, I don't want you, like you've heard like a lot of recordings, and sometimes, you'll hear like, the sound of people sliding between, strings and things
fret
like
noise
that.
or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, some of that's cool, some of that's cool, but at other times it's like you kind of want to cut some of that out. At least I'm thinking you want to cut that out because
it's
you don't want people to be distracted. Right.
Yeah,
right. You don't want people to be distracted. So
that makes sense.
All kind of depends. Yeah. It's fascinating though to talk about it and to think about it. It's fascinating. It's just, I love talking about stuff like that because it's very, when guitar players are playing and they look at a song and they're improvising and then it just comes to them, it's kind of like watching a point guard dribble the ball up and the defense is a little bit out of whack and they see it. Something.
Yep.
And they're like, alley-oop, boom. And it's a no-look alley-oop. And it's just like, the fact that can happen, it's like, man, they are so in tune with their team. It's just like, dude, you're not going to catch them. I love watching bands play. And I watch them, like whether it's on SNL or if it's Tiny Desk or whatever. And I love watching. I pay attention to who's leading the band. Who's leading the band? And if they're going like this, that's off the top. If they're going like this, like take it back, or like 1, 2, they're counting off. Whatever they're trying to communicate. I love that communication because I think it's special. I think that's their own language. I love it.
No doubt. Yeah.
So,
what I just learned yesterday that, because I know you're a fan of Kind of Blue, Miles Davis record, like that quintessential jazz record. I just learned yesterday that they did not rehearse any of those tracks because it was all just modal jazz, right? Here's the changes. We're just going to play over the changes. And so they were like, cool, here's the chart. Let's go. And started recording. And I'm like, that's the level of ability from all of those players. That's just like, dang, like I need another 30 years of just, I need to retire tomorrow and then spend the next 30 years practicing to get to that level. And it's just, I don't know. It's to your point, it's inspiring. And it's also like, why do I bother? Like,
yeah, I think it's amazing what can happen when you are pushed to do something. And so maybe all them cats weren't really necessarily comfortable with that. Because that sounds like something that one person would say, okay, hey, whatever we record today, that's what's on the album. The drummer like, wait a minute. Hold on. Hey, give me a minute. But that's that authentic stuff that that might be the reason why sometimes the change, the BPMs might change a little bit. It might shift during the song, which makes it so hard for us to sample nowadays. It's like, oh my God, what is this? What's going on? But it makes it authentic. It makes it, it's like listening to your favorite band do a live performance. It's like, that's not like the album. It's just, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that stuff. There's a place for it.
So here's what I noticed about hip hop as far as recording, because there's different schools of thought, but a lot of people will say you record a song, and especially if we're recording an instrumental solo, your first take is the most can be potentially the most authentic version of what you were feeling at that time. And if you hit and rewind and recording again and doing another take, eventually you might land on something that kind of fits a pattern of what you had in your head, but it's going to lose a lot of the life that you might have had from that first, like, hit, play, go, and there's all that energy and passion and whatever that comes from the first take. But I don't get the sense in hip hop that it's happens that way a lot, where that first take sticks.
I think it all depends on how much you practice.
Okay.
I really think it all depends on how much you practice. When Brandon and I, when we first did when we did our first full-length album, which is called The Obsidian. When we first recorded Obsidian, no, that's not true. Let me back. When we wrote Obsidian, we hadn't recorded it yet, but we were performing the songs at shows. So by the time we got to actually do it, it was different. Yeah, we had it. Yeah. You know, that ultimate. I tell you that I would prefer that. Like, because you're on stage and you're you're feeling it. It's like, and you know which parts go, and you can do that.
You've already workshopped them all.
Exactly. Yeah. You have it. That was the one album where it worked out just like that. And other albums it didn't quite work out that way, but that.
And actually, now that I say that, when Brandon came in and did that first verse for Write the Rest, that's the first take.
It doesn't surprise me. He practices like crazy.
So he came in, laid it down. In fact, that line, "I got to write the rest," was completely off the cuff because he hadn't written it yet. And,
exactly.
And we were like, that's badass. We're keeping it. And we basically built the song around that because it was such a cool throwaway line. But it was like, no, that's the beauty of that.
It's the beauty
stuff.
You can't fake that. That's why you keep all the outtakes. I love hearing the talking in the background. Like, hey, you ready? Yo, right here. Okay, cool. Go. You know, I love.
So by the way, there's a vocal line. There's you talking. I can't remember it's Phoenix or Write the Rest, but I kept it in. Because I was like, I just love how it gives a little bit, like, it's inaudible, it's unintelligible, but I just like the way it kind of sat underneath everything. And I'm working on toxicity right now, and I think that there's just some vocal things that you were saying. I'm like, I'm not taking those out because they just add to that, like, kind of the vibe of the track. And it's not a featured element, but it's almost like another instrument at that point.
It is.
I love that.
It's a, you know, it is. Songs are like gumbo.
Ooh, I love me some gumbo.
Yeah, you've got to, but it's so much stuff in it that you take a bite out of that or a spoonful. It's just certain flavors. You could take another spoonful. You'd have some of the same flavors from the first bite, but not all the same. It might be some different flavors in there too, or a different mix.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I just every time I think of gumbo, I think of Tiana, Princess and the Frog, and it just makes me happy. I always wanted to try that. I love that.
I don't know why it took me way too long to watch it. Fantastic movie, fantastic film.
Okay, speaking of Disney movies, Lion King is my top. That is my number one favorite all-time Disney movie. There's a lot of great ones, but Lion King is always going to be at the top for me. Apparently, Mufasa is out. Apparently, it's not real good, Toby. And that makes me sad.
It's disappointing. It sounds like it could be a money grab. And all the flops that have happened with the Marvel was also connected to Disney. They need something.
But this is what drives me insane is, so a few things. And, you know, my daughter is trying to break into the entertainment industry, you know, whether as a writer, whether it's for film and TV or books, publishing, whatever. But apparently what we have going on with the streaming services is that they're only greenlighting what they call I don't know if it's tent, I don't know, but it's basically we need to build an empire around this show. If we can't build an empire around it, we're not even going to bother. So forget about creativity, forget it. It's like, how much can we sell? Can we sell the crap out of it? And by the way, we're not going to basically have any filler episodes. So to me, and we talked about it a little bit today, was, you know, if you think of a show like Avatar, which I know you and I both love, imagine if they had tried and condensed that whole story into one season. Or if they had gotten rid of all of the character development that makes you love each and one of those characters. And you really get to see like Zuko's transformation and fall in love with Uncle Hero. Like, if that went away because they're like, no, that's filler. That's not, you know, and that's kind of where the industry is headed right now. In addition to, how can we pump out a sequel? How can we take an animated thing and make it live action, or take a live action and make it animated? So there's just a dearth to me of quality creative content because the studios just won't green light it in the same way that they used to in the past. Now, you did say that you saw the Transformers animated movie and said it was fantastic. So
it was.
I need to hear more because that gives me hope.
It was very, very good. I'm looking it up right now. I think it said something about Transformer. I want to say it's called Prime or something like that, or Day One, Transformers One. So that's what it's called. So, yeah, man, it was just really, really good. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I know I was really, really impressed by the job that they did in telling the story, because it kind of explained a lot of stuff. How Optimus, I mean, the fact that they were actually friends, I'm not going to ruin anything, but, Megatron and Optimus were actually friends. What? And so it just tells that story. Yeah, but the way that it happened, yeah, dude, your mind will be blown.
Really?
Strong, and it had some really good themes in it as well. So as far as classism is concerned and things like that. I mean, they had a whole story. So, dude, I'm looking forward to the second movie. They gotta come out with another movie. But as far as like your daughter's concerned, and I would say there's a whole bunch of other people that are out there like that, and I think music can be a little bit like that too.
Sure.
Before people are looking at somebody that can come out with album after album after album that can write really quick and what have you.
And it's got to sound like XYZ's artist.
It's got to sound like somebody else that's out there. You know what, dude? I'll say this. Artists are going to do what artists do. And I don't 100%. Want anybody to sacrifice their art. Do what you do. And there is a market for it.
Yep.
Look, as far as putting a book out or a movie or things of that nature, I would just suggest self-publishing and get it out to as many people as you possibly can. Because if you look at books like Ready Player One and some of the other ones, a lot of these books were like not mass, they were sent out to the masses in the very, very beginning.
They became kind of cult classics. And
they became cult classics. Yeah. And I think after that, then you get to, when you get to that point, then you get to make the decisions about like, no, I don't want that. I'm walking away from that. And that's the way that it should be. So it really kind of depends on what you want, how fast you want it, and ... So I think.
But I think we would always say default to your authenticity and what you're trying to say as an artist, because ultimately that's what's going to win. I mean, I defy you to go and write a pop song that you think is going to climb to the top of the charts. I can tell you it's not. But if you sit down and write from the heart and do something that's authentic to you, then you got a shot. So
yeah, just write.
Just write. Just create.
Just create, dude. Just create. Get it out, and then have a plan for putting it out. Believe in it. Have a plan. Believe in it fully. How is this going to reach as many people as it possibly can? And you're going to have to get into a little bit of your uncomfortable zone. You're going to have to get into that zone. We all know this. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is us at the gym doing exercises we've never done before. Like, I don't like deadlifts. You've never done deadlifts. You're going to have to do deadlifts if you want to strengthen that back, period. So
it's one of the best exercises ever.
Period.
So make sure you do it right.
Same way.
Hurt yourself.
You'll hurt yourself. Yeah, right. It's kind of like those drugs that really good for you and that's great, but they have all these side effects. Like, hey, don't do it. You might grow a tail if you take this for too long. Things like that.
Yep. All right, sir. It's been 48 minutes already. You believe that?
Yep.
We have a whole list of topics we haven't even gotten to, so I don't even know why we do topics.
Listen. All I know is that the wine companies and the bourbon companies are thankful that we have more to talk about for another time. Because we have to refill. I feel like
if we can get a sponsor from either or both of those, that would make me real happy. Yeah. I do have some suggestions on the bourbon front, but we'll save that for another episode.
Hey, let's do it next time. Hey, we appreciate everybody who stuck with
us. Yeah, thanks for enduring.
Who stuck with us during this time? We appreciate you. Make sure you check out our podcast. I think that should be a new
catchphrase at the end of Riffs too. Like, thanks for stunking with us. Thanks for stinking with us. That's good, Toby.
That would imply that we stink, and I don't want anybody to think that. I shower daily, sometimes twice a day. Truth be told.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. We don't stink, okay, people?
We don't stink. That's right. Physically or musically.
Right.
We don't.
Right.
We don't. Period.
Yeah.
Well,
bowling alley, I stink.
Yeah.
Other places, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Don't even talk to my knee about bowling. My God, all bad. All bad. Well,
all right. Well, let's get on up out of here. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.
Absolutely. Huzzah.